flow, that's a Sactown thing. Talking about us, it's a bounce out thing. Must they forgot we some Sacramento Kings. Whole squad going crazy, yeah, we back with it. Northern Cali going crazy, one sack winning. If you doubted us then, ain't no backspinning. This is real right here, ain't no catfishing. So tell me what you see now. Coming down the lane off the rebound. It's 9-16 now. Look towards the sky like the beam now. Tell them like the beam, like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam, like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam now. If you reppin' that Kings like the beam now. Sac proud, make sure everyone knows. Let me tell you how this thing really goes. Yeah, we travel deep, whether we home or on the road, we lit. You don't want that smoke, we the team of the year. We shaking things over here, don't doubt, we believe over here. We don't bleed over here. And let me just speak real clear, only deal with real kings over here. So tell me what you see now. Coming down the lane off the rebound. It's 9-16 now. Look towards the sky like the beam now. Tell them like the beam, like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam, like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam now. If you reppin' that Kings like the beam now. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Talking about some things you was not about. Tell them we don't play like the lockout. Got me feeling like Yeezy on the dropout. Can't deal with no phonies. Flow like baloney. Ain't no game round here, homeboy. This ain't Sony. They said they gon' show me. It's in me, not on me. You don't know me. Tell the game what's up now. They hating from the bus now. Been doing this T-Pain. Drop the up, down. Oh, I'm on the hunt now. Tell me what you want now. Yeah, I do my dance when you see me in the touchdown. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out.
Yeah, if we pulling up, my nigga, let me know. And if the haters hate, we finna let him go. Pull up, pop.
What's up, Kings fans? We're gonna get the stream started here shortly. Don't forget to smash up that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let us know in the chat what the hell you think the Sacramento Kings are doing right now.
We ain't never scared, we don't play about it. Keep the party going, give a damn what they say about it. Gotta keep it simple, this for everybody. Ladies and the homies, it's a function, we don't care about it. Flopping in the whip, got the speakers going crazy. Block party lit, family geeking, getting waved. Grannies to the uncles, to the nieces, to the babes. We gon' get it cracking like a weekend.
Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole Yeah. Back on my bull, back on my cool. I'm turning it up, they feeling the heat, so they searching for pools. Tripping on me cause I'm doing my thing and they hoping that I'll be the fool. Taking the game and I'm screwing it up while these boys still searching and looking for tools. Playing it cool, faking it's who. Yeah, they look mad cause I'm breaking the rules. Breaking it loose while I'm breaking some news. Give me your pride and I'm breaking that too. They ain't ahead of us, they don't compare to us. They feeling the kick cause they hearing the change like I open the register. Flexing on tracks cause this thing is not optional. Leg day is coming, I'm jumping the obstacles. Laughing at haters, we thinking it's comical. Yelling outside like we yelling out dominoes. Always be claiming they monsters. Boy, go get you a sponsor. All of that chatting, all of that acting, gon' mess around, get you an Oscar. They calling me Terrence, I hustle and flow. They all on my line cause I'm still in the vote. Your girl all on me cause she feeling the stroke. Make them say whoa when I'm getting my woe. Talking like I do not got it. You talking like your boy is not it. When you talk, all I hear is yappa, yappa, yada, 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 yada. Most of your favorites ain't dealing with me. Pouring it up like the end of the week. You don't let us in, we still in the keys. We coming from nothing and ending the street. Aiming at throats and taking out knees. They feeling the pressure and know they can't breathe. Winning the races and taking the places and walking they stages like it's a degree. Feel it in your veins, it's a dope flow. Got the whole game in a chokehold. They taking too long, you can't see me now. Put them in boxes like photos. Packing the bags and hitting new land. I do what I want, they do what they can. All in their way, I'm messing up plans. I'm speaking the truth, I keep it a Grant. Waiting for Zell, never will fail. Waist looking slim, she eating her kale. I'm peeping the game and playing it well. She throwing it back like it's way too exhale. Come from the pain, not chasing no fame. I come up with morals, can't slander my name. Taking what's mine and grabbing the flame. Shooting my shot and yelling out game. Know what's real when I'm giving the feel. Can't look back when you turning the wheel. Go get a doctor, I'm giving the chills. Told them to get out, grab the key and they pill. I warn them that I am a factor. Clearing the way for this tractor. Got some new goals, never will fold. Came too far just to back up. Nah, this ain't what you used to. We ain't tripping on nobody, we just moved through. You couldn't keep up, cause my steps too long. It's time to wake them up, they have slept too long. Zell.
Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stands. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
What's up, Kings fans? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds, the Sacramento Kings YouTube channel for fans, by fans. If you're a Kings fan, make sure you smash up that like button, hit that subscribe button. It has been a crazy NBA draft so far. Tons of trades. No big blockbusters other than the one we'll talk about involving the Golden State Warriors. But Calvin, happy Thursday. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm officially on vacation as of right now. I'm leaving for Kauai tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. It's draft day. It's one of my favorite days of the year.
It's a good day.
I feel like I got to take a deep breath because I have been going nonstop today. I got home, jumped in the shower, and got out of the shower right as the Kings were selecting at 38. So I'm really processing everything that's happening in the draft right now. I didn't get to watch any of it. So I feel like my brain is moving a million miles per second. But try to take a deep breath and calm down and think logically here for a second.
That's okay, Calvin. Just calm down a little bit. It's going to be okay. Shout out to everybody that's here in the chat, especially to Brian Thompson, a member of the Royal family. What's up, Brian? Shout out to Jim, Joey, Jeff the Lefty is in the house. Derek is here. Good to see you all. Welcome in. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day, and hopefully you've been able to watch the draft today. Lots of stuff going on. Lots of guys falling in the draft. Cam Whitmore falls to pick number 20. Chris Murray falls to 23, just one pick ahead of the Sacramento Kings. Nick Smith Jr., huge news, falls to pick number 27. That's a big one. And the Kings trade their first and their second-round draft pick so far, Calvin. They're making moves. Rashawn Holmes
They're making big moves.
I don't even know what I'm trying to say. He's on the
way out.
On the way out. There you go. That's exactly what he's doing.
And yes, Jim, they still have pick 54 left.
Yeah. Unless they trade it.
Unless they trade it.
But before we dive here into the Sacramento Kings, I kind of want to just go over the draft in general. Calvin, I know you're processing, and I want to hear the instant reaction. So you want to give us kind of a quick little breakdown on, what's happened so far today?
Well, we'll just start right at the top, right? Because I don't think there was any real surprises there. I was curious as to what Portland was going to do at number 3, but the rumors and reports ended up being true that they were standing pat, selecting there at 3, didn't want to pass up on Scoot Henderson. So he goes 3, Brandon Miller 2, to the Hornets, and then, of course, we don't even really have to say it, do we? Victor goes number 1 to the Spurs. But after that, that's where it started to get interesting, right? Because this draft, I think the consensus report on it is that it's a deep draft, a lot of good wings, forwards available, a lot of all-around complete players. So depending on, where you really had guys ranked, that's why I think you see some people fall and some guys go earlier than expected because, it's all good and well for us to sit around and do mock drafts and say who we think guys should pick, but we're not the NBA GMs. So this is why it's really interesting to me when it comes to draft day to see what everybody else thinks. Orlando is one of those teams you're either in love with what Orlando's doing right now or you're sitting there going, what the hell are they doing? Because they've got a ton of point guards all of a sudden and a ton of those combo guards. Jet Howard is a guy with a lot of upside and potential, but they also have people like Franz Wagner, who coincidentally went to the same school as Jet Howard.
Yep.
So they're kind of loaded with a lot of young players now. The question might be, do they make any moves? Are guys available in that camp? I think Houston is having a really good draft. Cam Whitmore, one of my favorite players, drops all the way to 20 for them.
Wow.
And they're able to take Amen Thompson at number 4. And then I'm not going to be able to pronounce his name correctly, but the guy who's Victor Wembanyama's teammate, Bilal.
Yep.
Probably the surprise of the draft right now, going as high as 7. I mean, I had seen him, mostly in the late teens to early 20s in a lot of projected picks. So I also want to throw out Utah. I think they're having a sneakily really good draft right now. Taylor Hendricks, maybe my favorite player in this class.
One of the best GMs
overall. And then they got Bryce Sensabaugh at the end of the round there, and Keontae George, a really high upside guard from Baylor. So they're doing, I think, a really good job as well.
Shout out to Derek here in the chat, making some Vlade Divac jokes. Always appreciate that. And shout out to Nick. Nick's joining us live via Twitter Spaces. Nick, I'm going to bring you up here in just a few minutes. So hopefully you got a lot of good things to say. But yeah, as far as the draft goes so far, a couple different firsts today. Victor Wembanyama, first French player to go number 1 overall. That's very exciting.
Congratulations.
And then we had the Thompson twins go 4th and 5th. First ever back-to-back picks for brothers. Pretty amazing there. And yeah, Anthony Black, as you mentioned, did go to Orlando at pick number 6. He was projected at 8 to go to Washington. So Orlando jumped on him. I know we got to watch him here at the Maui Invitational. Really, really fun to watch. His hair looks like it's doubled in size since that tournament. Barely could fit his hat on. And then, yeah, you mentioned quite a few different players. I know Grady Dick, one of the best shooters in the draft, fell a little bit to Toronto, pick number 13. Yep. Shout out to him, though. The fit was on point.
Yeah.
He was looking great.
Wizard of Oz.
Looking great. Kobe Buffkin from Michigan went 15 to Atlanta. And then, yeah, we mentioned what happened with Cam Whitmore, 20 to Houston. Chris Murray, 23 to the Portland Trailblazers. And then, of course, the Kings take Oliver Prosper from Marquette and flip him right away to Dallas.
Yes.
In a trade to clear some cap space. Also send out Rashawn Holmes. The Kings now have $30 million in cap space. What does that mean for the Sacramento Kings? We'll definitely dive into that here shortly. Shout out to my guy, Bouncer. Good to see you. And, Cal, should we bring Nick up on stage? You want to hear from Nick?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's hear what Nick has to say. Always appreciate and enjoy listening to Nick.
What's up?
What's up, Nick? How you doing?
How you guys doing today? Well, I'm watching the draft, and I thought we were going to get Chris Murray. I would have been happy if we did.
If they took Chris Murray?
Yeah, but no pizza today.
No pizza today.
I think a lot of Kings fans wanted Chris Murray. But, hey, one pick too early, 23 to Portland.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? I don't know if the Kings planned on taking him, if maybe he went early. Wow, Calvin, you're drinking out of invisible glass. That's pretty cool looking. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, R.I.P. Pizza. But I don't know if they just pivoted there. They were hoping on Chris Murray, didn't get him, and then, of course, they picked number 24. They trade the pick with Rashawn Holmes to the Dallas Mavericks. Nick, how do you feel about that?
It's really pretty good. I just think, you talk about getting these moves, and you talk about the Kings, You talk about the Kings. Maybe they'll make the playoffs next. Maybe they'll make the playoffs next year.
Whoa!
They gonna make.
Maybe
we gonna make it next year. We're gonna win the championship.
there you go. That sounds more like it.
Why not win the championship?
So what do you think the Kings are doing here, Nick? I mean, they're trading everybody away. Who are they going to sign or trade for?
Rashawn Holmes is gone, and Rashawn Holmes is gone. He got traded, and I'm just, What do we get back?
Yeah, who do we get back?
Who do we get back?
We got back now.
Rashawn Holmes.
Well, they got the draft rights to Colby Jones, the 34th pick.
They got a trade exception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a salary dumping move.
So who do we get back?
That is the question that everybody's asking themselves right now, Nick. We cleared up $30 million in salary cap space. What do the Kings do with that? Because if they don't use it, if they don't do anything with that, then a lot of people look at this as like a wasted, pointless move. But of course, if they're able to maybe do a big trade for an OG Anunoby and a Pascal Siakam, like we've been hearing the past couple of days, or maybe sign a big free agent like a Chris Middleton or somebody else, maybe it works out for the Kings. Do you have a favorite, Nick?
Well, I do have to say, my favorite might be, I have no idea. It might be Foxy.
What was the question?
What do you want the Kings to do with the salary cap space, Nick?
I have no idea.
Okay, good answer. Calvin, what do you want the Kings to do with the salary cap space?
Well, I mean, I want them to do a lot of things. I don't know how much they're going to be able to accomplish, at least right away or in the short term. But the idea, I think, is that, you're saving or you're accounting for some money to go out and spend in free agency, first of all. But let's not forget, Domantas Sabonis is eligible for the Supermax extension this summer. So they might be saying, look, we want to get this done and over with now so that we're not worried about it going into next offseason as well. So I think that we do not really know what Monty has up his sleeve or is planning to do yet. There are still a lot of different ways that they can go about this here with the money to spend.
Yeah, for me,
even bringing back Harrison Barnes, that's available now too, right?
I think either way that was available because they can go over to bring him back, and
it may be more available now.
Yeah,
with the
I think they go either one of two ways here: either a big trade to bring in salary, or they sign somebody big in free agency. Either way, I think it's a win for the Kings to add more talent, and then maybe they can re-sign Harrison Barnes if they decide they want to keep him. They can go over the salary cap to bring him back in. Nick, are you sleeping over there?
Huh?
What are you doing?
We're watching the NBA draft. The Clippers selection. The biggest thing, Clippers get
Jordan Miller.
All right, Jordan Miller.
Breaking
Clippers
news.
got Jordan Miller.
And no, Jim, Jackson Davis from Indiana has not been picked yet. He is still available.
Yes, and Calvin, you want to let everyone in the audience know what guy we're keeping our eyes on right now for pick 54 for the Kings?
Well, there's still a couple guys out there, but Imani Bates is one of those names that it has not been selected yet. I mean, he was probably, most people expected him to be available somewhere in that 50 range anyway, so I don't know how much of a surprise that is. But he's still there if the Kings are picking at 54 and he hasn't been taken yet.
So I was watching this draft today, Calvin. I mean,
is that our last pick, 54?
Yes, it is, Nick. The last pick in the second round for the Kings so far. Unless
So
they make
who
another
do
trade,
you
we'll see
think?
what happens. I like Imani Bates a lot too, and I like guys that fall in
Who
the
do you
draft.
want? Oh yeah.
What?
Like who would you take? Like if you pick 54, who would you take?
Calvin?
Well, it's hard to say exactly
playing
because
repeat
there's
today.
there's still 6 picks ahead of them, so you're kind of at the mercy of who else goes. But I do like Imani Bates a lot at 54. I think that would be good value for a guy that has a ton of upside and is also fits needs for the Kings with size, length, playmaking ability, all of that stuff. So yeah, I think that would be a good pick for them at 54 if he's still.
Yeah, I think that I would agree. I would agree with that too. I probably would agree with it, and I think as a Sacramento Kings fan, I think that you got to know that you're gonna do. You got to pick. You got to get your pick. You got to look at what you're doing right now. You got to look at the Kings, and you got to always just think about who you're gonna get number 54. Pick number 54. It's a big number. There is no pizza tonight. But, Calvin, you have to eat pizza right now because...
Right now?
Yeah, you need to eat pizza.
Well, I don't have any pizza to eat right now, so I would if I had some. But
Are we going to have a
pizza
pizza eating contest? Are we going to have a pizza eating contest? I think we should.
Okay, I think we should too. Nick, you have any other comments on? Oh, there you go. Imani Bates just went number 49 to Cleveland. Nick, you got any other thoughts on the draft before we let you go?
Jackson Davis still available.
Oh, no, that's it. Imani Bates. Cleveland got Imani Bates.
Good pick for them.
Breaking news.
Well, Nick, we always appreciate you for coming on the show here. You got any last words for the royal family out there?
No, well, I want to say sleep beams.
Sleep beams. And yes,
like
Nick,
the beam.
we will do a pizza eating contest one day. It will happen, I guarantee.
Yeah. Fire the laser.
Fire the laser. Hold on.
We all miss the laser.
Fire the laser!
There you go, Nick.
You see the purple beam being lit right now. Oh, boy, it is lit.
All right, let's light the beam. All right, Nick, thank you so much, dude. We appreciate you. We'll talk again soon, okay?
All right, see you later.
See you, buddy. All right, that was fun. Calvin, anyways, now that Imani Bates is gone, I mean, there's no purpose in me even watching the draft anymore. Just kidding. But anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit about this Golden State deal because I know a lot of people are questioning what happened there.
Which one?
Yeah. But basically, Jordan Poole got shipped out, and Chris Paul now joins the Golden State Warriors.
Yes.
I believe they also get, a draft pick or two in this deal?
I believe they got 2 picks.
2 picks
out of it.
What are your thoughts regarding this deal? Does this make Golden State better, worse, the same?
Well, probably as of right now, I would say close to the same. I don't see how it could make them that much better. Poole wasn't really as good or consistent as he was the year before, especially in the postseason, but definitely still capable of giving them a lot of fireworks and stuff offensively.
Yeah.
It's not like they're adding another guy that they're going to start here with Chris Paul. I mean, if they did, I would find that kind of strange to roll that lineup out there. Chris Paul can still help them when he's healthy and available. The question is how much do they really play him over the course of the regular season to make sure that he's ready for the postseason? It's a really interesting move. I feel that Golden State, like a bunch of teams this offseason, they're kind of backed into a little bit of a corner with the salary cap situation, Draymond opting out, wanting to bring him back.
Yep.
they have assets to give up. Those are their young guys. So I feel like after this big 3-team deal, with Porzingis and Marcus Smart went down, Golden State kind of felt like, again, this is just me spitballing here, but I think one of their primary goals is to re-sign Draymond, right?
Yep.
So they know they need to create a little bit more flexibility to apply that to spending on him. So get rid of Jordan Poole and his big contract. That way you can afford to re-sign Draymond. Mm-hmm. Line that up with Steph for whatever he wants to do. And then, you also get back a player that, even though he's another point guard, is still a future Hall of Famer and capable of providing them some help off the bench and all that stuff. So I think it's one of those moves where they were not pressured or forced into doing something, but they knew they had to act quickly in order to get some flexibility to re-sign Draymond. That's the big deal here.
Definitely. Jim, I do think the Kings might have taken Chris Murray, pick number 24, if he was available, but he wasn't. I think they did pivot. Calvin, I see some people here in the audience say they miss your bowl cut. Is the bowl cut coming back anytime soon?
My guess is going to be no.
Okay.
But
there you go.
We'll
I had to ask. Interesting move for the Golden State Warriors. I think this basically signals that Draymond Green will be returning to the team. We were both kind of not sure if he was going to return or sign elsewhere. I thought that maybe he'd end up with Detroit, signing a max deal with them, which still could happen. But at this moment, I think that they're leaning towards keeping Draymond Green, and getting rid of Jordan Poole was a salary cap move. It was also a move to, I guess, help shore up team chemistry. But also at the same time, Calvin, I mean, this could signify that they're getting rid of Draymond Green and that Chris Paul is now the team leader, enforcer guy.
It could. It very well could. I don't know.
Does this make them better or worse?
I don't think it does either right now. Well, I should take that back. If they lose Draymond and they trade Jordan Poole and get Chris Paul back, I think that makes them worse.
Yeah.
Depending on who they would bring in after that. But if they keep Draymond and they have Chris Paul, I don't see them being that much better or that much worse.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I've seen a couple posts. One of them saying the possible starting lineup had Chris Paul starting at point guard, Steph at shooting guard, Clay.
I just don't see why you do that.
That's the ultimate death lineup, right? Like super small. But at the same time, I mean, one of the biggest problems with Chris Paul has been health, right? It's been health. So why start him? Why not just wrap him in bubble wrap and wait till the playoffs start, and then you can maybe roll him out there? It's really an interesting situation because if Chris Paul's healthy, he's a really, really good player. Very high basketball IQ. If Steph's dealing with any injuries, Chris Paul can jump right in there. He's a good three-point shooter. He's a good passer. Not the defender that he once was, but he has a very high basketball IQ. He's a smart basketball player. But I'm a little confused by the whole move. I really am. Like, this was a team that was struggling between balancing the old with the young. Now they've just given up, and it seems like they're just gone straight old. They just traded a really young former number 2 overall pick in James Wiseman for a 30-something Gary Payton, who they just had let go in free agency. Yeah. And now you're trading 24-year-old Jordan Poole, who's locked up long-term, for a 38-year-old Chris Paul, making $30 million next year and $30 million the year after that. Yes, they are partially guaranteed. Yeah. So you could technically cut him if you want. But does that really help your team if you just cut him? I don't really know. So that's an interesting situation. Shout out to Matthew. Shout out to Tanvir for joining in here. But yeah, a lot of interesting things going down. And you mentioned there was a lot of different moving parts in this deal and a couple other deals. Porzingis ends up in Boston. Marcus Smart ends up in Memphis. That's the craziest deal for me, honestly, so far. I mean, I did not think the Warriors were going to give up on Jordan Poole. I did not. I was thinking maybe Jordan Poole would be the starting shooting guard for them next year, and maybe Klay Thompson comes off the bench or something like that. But I did not think Boston would trade Marcus Smart. That is incredible. And I got to say, great news for the Memphis Grizzlies, who we announced on the last show got lucky. Their star player, John Morant, was only suspended, 25 games?
Yeah.
So, of course, Marcus Smart can plug that hole for 25 games, and then they can decide either we're trading Ja, we're moving on for him, or Marcus Smart's going to make sure that he doesn't end up on another IG Live video.
Yeah, Memphis, a lot of people I think are, or at least what I've seen like on social media and stuff, a lot of people are very surprised that somebody would give up 2 first-round picks for Marcus Smart. I know there's a whole nother camp of people that would love to have had Marcus Smart. You're one of them.
Yep.
For 2 first-round picks. Memphis, this is a deal that very well could have saved their season for a lot of reasons. So I think that this was a great move for them personally. Boston, it's a big question mark. It's a gamble. I think Woj reported on this earlier. They kind of, again, felt under pressure or in the hot cooker to make a deal here because Porzingis opted in to his $36 million player option, but he was on the clock to do that. He had until midnight, whatever it was, yesterday to do so. Mm-hmm. They needed to get a trade done for him before that if he opts in. Otherwise, he becomes a free agent, and they have to spend big on him and compete with everybody else. So when the Malcolm Brogdon deal falls through, the Celtics really wanted him, so they said, okay, we've got to make another move here and not let him get to free agency. That's why I think they ultimately were willing to let Marcus Smart go. So there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going in that deal, but very, very interesting move. The Celtics, I think, are one of the few teams that their roster's so deep and so complete, and they have so many spots at each position that they were really okay with making a move like that. I mean, even though you lose Marcus Smart, you're just going to take Malcolm Brogdon and plug him into that spot, who's another very capable, good three-point shooting point guard who's a good defender as well, much the same as Smart is. Plus, you get to add Porzingis. So It's a really interesting move.
Al Horford's getting a little bit older, even though he's played well the past couple seasons. And, Boston hasn't quite gotten over that hump, right? They made it to the finals. They lost. Yeah. They didn't make it back to the finals this year, so they're definitely trying to make some moves and make something happen.
Still no Jackson Davis taken, Jim.
Jalen Wilson
and
goes
we're 3 picks away.
Number 51 to the Nets. 2 more picks until the Kings are officially on the clock.
Yeah, Matthew's right. The Celtics have Derek White as well. So
they do. Calvin, I want to, rewind a little bit. We talked about Victor. Let's talk about Brandon Miller. Now, this guy went number 2 overall to Charlotte. A lot of people thought Scoot Henderson was the second best player in this draft, and maybe he would go number 2, but it is Brandon Miller. I've been diving a little bit into Brandon Miller the past couple days, and what a lot of people might not know, or maybe they do, maybe this is the only thing they know about him, but there's an incident with him, was not charged, but they found a murder weapon in his car, which coincidentally is my nickname at work, the murder weapon. So shout out to that. But Cal, can you kind of explain that situation and why maybe it didn't affect this guy's draft stock like we've seen other players in the past?
Well, I don't know if I can answer the second part to that, other than the fact that he, like you said, he wasn't charged and there isn't any, pending investigation on him. But one of his teammates earlier this year ended up committing a murder, and the rumor was that Brandon Miller was texted by this guy to bring him a gun, and he had it in his car. Brandon Miller claims that he didn't know the gun was in the car when he drove to this guy's apartment. Wow. So there's a lot of speculation still here. And it was a big cloud that hung over not just Brandon Miller, but the whole Alabama program throughout most of the season and into the NCAA tournament. A lot of people were questioning, how can you play this guy still if he's under or if he's part of a murder investigation, all this stuff.
Yeah, they were trying to lock him up.
Yeah,
right?
took a lot of heat for it. And some people even questioned, his kind of reaction to it or the way that he kind of handled himself through the whole thing. All of those things make you believe like that's a recipe for disaster for a guy who's projected to be a top pick. Mm-hmm. But it ended up not affecting him. why that's the case, I don't have enough information to really tell. But I think at the end of the day, you know, first of all, he's not the guy that's under investigation for the murder.
Yeah.
He's not charged with anything. So you kind of have to do your homework.
As Matthew says, that could happen.
That could happen to
you
anybody.
You have a murder weapon in your car right now, Calvin?
You are a murder weapon, apparently.
I'm not in your car, though. You're not sure. The quick answer is I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, the dude's still a really good basketball player that fits the needs of a lot of NBA teams. So that's why he went number 2.
Yeah, a lot of questions there. I think the most important one for me, though, Calvin, is he a better basketball player than Scoot Henderson?
I like Scoot Henderson better.
What's up, Alfie, man?
But I just don't see why you would take... Nah, Derek, we're cool. We're cool, man. Like, I'm good. Hair's looking good now. I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Did you see cut his hair?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
No more long hair in this house.
No more long hair.
For the
Maybe
guys,
Ryan
anyway.
will grow his hair out next.
Yeah. Okay, looks like the Kings are on the clock, and Jackson Davis is still available from Indiana.
Who do you want the Kings to take here?
I think that would be a totally I'd be happy with that pick. I mean, this is a guy, you know, that was projected. Some people had him projected in the first round. So I again, without, you know, watching this live or being able to hear what people are saying, I'm not sure why he's fallen as far as he has. But, you know, when you pick this late in the draft, you're not really expecting much, right? To put it bluntly. So if you can get a guy that a lot of people saw as a late first round, early second round talent this late in the draft, I think you take that chance. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm just looking here at some of the trades that happened today. You know, the Pistons got the number 25th pick from the Celtics for 31 and a future second round pick. And then, of course, this Richaun Holmes deal to Dallas. There's been a lot of talk around Dallas, Calvin. You know,
Yes.
They made a big deal for Kyrie Irving. It kind of fell apart towards the end of the year for them. Now he's a free agent. Is he going to re-sign? Is he not going to re-sign? They lost a lot of defense. They picked up some defense in this pick from the Kings, and they also get a guy in Richaun Holmes. And the pick is in. Jalen Slauson.
Oh, wow.
Tell us what you know about him.
Well, I actually did see this guy play in the NCAA tournament from Furman. Team made the NCAA tournament for the first time since like the 40s or something like that. This is a guy that kind of bounced around. He was a transfer. Really, really solid all-around player. Again, I think the Kings the idea is taking guys that can help in a lot of different ways, right? This dude was, I believe, the defensive player of the year in their conference this season. Good size, good ball
6'7",
handler.
215.
Yep. You know, has a pretty decent score. He's not the most athletic or explosive guy, but a really kind of like Colby Jones, a really solid all-around player who has a lot of two-way potential. You know, I think that's a pretty good pick overall.
Yeah, he played 36 games this year, averaged 30.7 minutes per game, 15.6 points, a steal and a half, a block and a half, 7 rebounds, 3.2 assists, shot almost 40% from three, 55% from the field, and 77% from the free throw line. The Kings do need another big. They need a versatile guy. Hey, maybe it'll work out. I love what Ivan says here in the chat, Slamson or Slauson. Slamson versus Slauson. Maybe that's the next set of Kings commercials we see.
Yeah.
Do you think this guy makes the roster, Cal?
I would expect to see him start off in Stockton.
He's a senior, so he's a little bit older,
He is.
a little bit more NBA ready. Like we were talking about, the Kings need a guy that's ready to kind of plug and play. And then there's been a lot of movement with the Stockton Kings in terms of coaching staff, general manager, how fluid the situation between Sacramento and Stockton is still yet to be seen with the new group coming in. But I think I agree with you. I think he starts out in Stockton and potentially is available. But once again, it really depends on what the Kings do with all this cap space, right? We're talking about some fringe guys that they picked up here in the draft, second-round draft picks, which can win MVP like Jokic, can win a title like Jokic.
Okay.
But
There's
can also
one second round pick that's ever done that. Will not win a title,
can
but
also easily, fall right off the radar pretty quickly. So I think it really depends on what the Kings do with the rest of the roster. Obviously, we have free agency coming up in just a couple weeks, and then there's still some trades and stuff that could go down. So I think it really depends on how the Kings fill out the rest of the roster in terms of whether Slauson and some of these other guys will actually get playing time, because we know the Kings need a forward. We'll see what happens with Harrison Barnes, whether he gets re-signed or not. I mean, at this point, Calvin, where are you at? Are you move Keegan to the 3, sign a 4, move Keegan to the 4, sign a 3? Where are you at regarding them? And also, I guess, 2 guard. Are you cool with Kevin Huerter? Does he stay? Where are you at?
Man, so much still left, for speculation here.
Calvin, paint me a picture.
I will do my best here. It's hard to get into Monty's mind at this point, but just like somebody else said, Sean, I still trust Monty. I think that this is kind of deja vu of the trade deadline all over again from this year. Everybody was saying, okay, the Kings are definitely going to make a move. They got to add some pieces. They're on the up and up. They're playing with house money. Why not go all in? Nothing happened while everybody made moves around them. It's feeling kind of the same way right now, and I think that there's got to be some sort of plan here in progress. I've been going back and forth over what the Kings have done in the draft so far. When I saw at work that the Kings had selected Olivier, I believe is how you pronounce his name, Prosper, out of Marquette, I immediately texted you and said, dude, this is awesome. He's the guy that I wanted the whole time. Yep. I think they nailed the pick. And then you came back with, well, it's gone. They traded him. And I was like, oh, shit. But when you find out that they were able to move Richaun Holmes' contract, something that I think people were expecting, but also were, questioning, was it really going to happen or not? That's a big move. I think you only do that if you've got bigger plans on the horizon when it comes to free agency or making some other big-time trade like Pascal and OG, which I still don't see how that's possible. And Mr. Angel, that's fine. You might think there's no plan, but I guarantee you those guys definitely have a plan. And we'll just see what happens. We'll see whether it works out or not. But so clearing the cap space, I think, is a clear smoke signal that there's something, they want something bigger to come after this. Whether it happens or not, or they get their top priority, their plan A, that remains to be seen. But then when you find out that they get Colby Jones at 34, who's another guy that I really liked in this draft, a complete player, good size, good ball playmaking ability, ball handling, improved his shooting every year he was at Xavier, fits the mold of what Monty McNair has drafted so far in his tenure. Guys that have played multiple years in college, got better in college. Xavier had a really good year last year playing against competition that was really stiff in the Big East. Colby Jones had his best season of his career, played the most minutes, good defender. I think that getting him at 34 when a lot of people thought he could go in the high teens, again, is good value there. So I like that move, especially if you consider they lost out on the first-round pick at 24. So there's still so many questions left to be answered, right? What do they do with the cap space? Who are they going to bring in? But I think if you do end up getting some bigger names to fill those roles, I still want a starting power forward to fill out the starting lineup there. I'm cool with Kevin Huerter at shooting guard. I'm cool with I almost said Chris, with Keegan at the 3. If they're able to plug in somebody who's ready to start at the power forward spot right away, like a Jeremy Grant perhaps, or a Pascal Siakam, then we're really talking.
Yeah, I agree. I think there is a plan. If this was good old Vlade Divac's era, I'd be like, he's just trading to clear space, and he's not going to end up signing anybody. But, guys, there's been some significant improvement over the last year or two, right? The Kings made the playoffs. They made a big trade for Sabonis. We had 2 All-Stars this year. So this is the time to get aggressive, to make some deals, to improve. The Kings had the 3rd best record in the West, the 3rd best record in the West. And the West won the title this year. So there was a moment where the Kings were second, right behind the team that won the NBA title this year in the Denver Nuggets. So I believe there's a plan. I think you got to wait it out and see what happens. The Kings have been mentioned in all sorts of rumors, which I'm happy about. I'm glad they were talking about Bradley Beal. No, a move didn't happen. The Kings didn't want to include Keegan Murray. I'm totally okay with that. We've heard them mentioned in rumors with Toronto for OG, now OG and Siakam. I haven't really heard many other teams interested in OG and Siakam. So I don't know how
I've
this
heard a lot of
really
teams
plays
interested
out.
in OG.
In both guys?
I think a lot of teams like Siakam, but there just aren't many teams that are able to make a deal for him, absorb his salary, right?
Okay.
But
Not many teams have
OG's
a-
name has been all over rumors, all over the place.
Not
So,
many teams have a trade exemption.
Yeah.
And the Kings
Like
just
the
acquired.
Sacramento Kings.
Kings just acquired one. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Maybe a deal like that goes down. That would be absolutely incredible if they pick up Siakam and OG Anunoby. It would take a lot, but I don't think it's out of question. Someone in the chat mentioned, what's one free agent that you would really like the Kings to sign? I'm assuming this is without any other trades or anything. So, Calvin, I mean, we got Russell Westbrook is available. You got Chris Middleton, your favorite Kyrie Irving, D'Angelo Russell, Kevin Love, a bunch of guys available, Draymond Green, Fred VanVleet. Who would you like? Do you have one guy that you're like, the Kings should sign this guy in free agency?
I think Jeremy Grant is the guy that's emerging to me as the top of my preference right now. I love Chris Middleton. I think he would be a good signing, but I am concerned with the injury problems he's had over the past few years and how much money it's probably going to take to sign that guy when there are some of these other players available. Kyle Kuzma's name continues to come up. A lot of Kings fans like him. I wouldn't be upset with them signing him. However, I would prefer to have Jeremy Grant. I just like him better. I think he's a little bit more of an efficient player. So that's my top wish list right now. I think it's an easy plug-and-play spot, starting power forward. You keep Sabonis at the center. I think he would fit in perfectly with the offense that the Kings run. His ability to space the floor, can create for himself. I like Jeremy Grant a lot for Sacramento if they're able to pull that off.
I like Jeremy Grant. I like Christian Wood still. I like Kyle Kuzma. I think there's a lot of possibilities for the Kings here. But, yeah, I think a trade is probably going to be in the works because, I mean, when you clear $30 million in salary cap space, that's not to bring in Kyle Kuzma.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not to bring in Russell Westbrook. Maybe they make a deal for Chris Middleton. I don't really see that happening, but it is possible. But, yeah, I really think there's going to be something to announce here in the next week or so. Hopefully big news for the Kings. But also, I saw somebody here, I think it was Mr. Angel, saying, the Kings didn't do anything at the trade deadline last year. That's okay. I mean, Dallas made a big move at the trade deadline. How'd that work out for them, right? They missed the playoffs.
Yep.
And so it's not always that making a big move makes you better. And I think Monty consistently has improved this Kings roster every single year without really mortgaging the future, without making bad deals, without, taking on huge salaries. So I do have to trust him at this point. I think that he's earned that, and we just got to be patient and see what he has in store for us.
Yeah, and the bouncer, shout out to the bouncer, brings up a good point here that we haven't even talked about yet, and that's Sasha. What the Kings are doing in the draft could have a lot of meaning behind it. It was in their hopes and plans to bring him over all along, and they're trying to hold a roster spot available for him, right? So it just makes sense to send out that 24 pick and clear cap space.
Yep.
That way you have the extra spot available for him when he comes.
And I'm happy for Rashawn Holmes. Like, I really do like the guy. I think he's a good person. I think he's a good teammate. I enjoyed watching him on the bench, when he was happy and excited and cheering on his teammates and stuff like that. But I'm happy to see him get a fresh start. Maybe it will be with, them. Maybe he'll get bought out and can join another team. But I think it's a good kind of ending for him and for the Sacramento Kings to kind of end something that wasn't really working. So hopefully both of them get out of it. Looks like Jackson Davis went pick number 57 to the Wizards. they've had a decent couple weeks here. And the last pick is the Milwaukee Bucks. We mentioned 2 of the picks in the second round were forfeited. I believe it was the Bulls, and what was the other one? 76ers due to tampering. I feel weird about that, but hey, 2 less guys to get drafted. So the Kings are going to have maybe some guys that they could sign once the draft's over. But like I said, I think something big is in the works here for the Sacramento Kings. Why wouldn't it be? I mean, it's been 16 years. You finally make the playoffs. You have 2 All-Stars on your team. They want to get better. They're excited. The buzz is around. People want to play in Sacramento. Calvin, let's go after a Mikal Bridges. Let's go after an OG Anunoby or Pascal Siakam. Let's make it happen, dude. I feel like the Kings have kind of sat back a little bit and watched some of these bigger dominoes fall, like Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Chris Paul, some of these other guys. We've watched the dominoes fall. Bradley Beal, maybe they're going to be in a better mood to negotiate or a better position to negotiate here when they have ability to absorb contracts. They have future draft picks. They have all this stuff. So I think they are in a really, really good situation right now.
I agree. I mean, I think that this is the perfect setup, right? Again, you've still got to make the deal happen, and that remains to be seen. But one thing we do know for a fact is there are very few teams out there that have money to spend coming into this free agency period. And of all of those teams that have money to spend, the Kings are by far and away the best team out of all of them.
Yes.
So that's going to be attractive for free agents as well.
Good point. Any thoughts on Chris Middleton and him potentially joining the Kings?
Well, like I said before, I love Chris Middleton. I always kind of saw a lot of Chris Middleton and Keegan Murray, or at least what he could potentially be. Mm-hmm. I think that would be a great grab. However, I'm a little hung up on it just because, one, there are a lot of other really good players that would fit needs for the Kings who are available in free agency. And I just think that you don't opt out of a $40 million plus deal to take less money, right? You want the big time 5-year, $200+ million contract. That's the goal here for Chris Middleton. And with the injuries that have stacked up on him over the past couple of years, I'm not sure I feel comfortable paying that now.
I believe that Milwaukee is the only team that can offer him 5 years, right?
Or whatever.
Any other team, it would be 4 years. And so what I'm thinking is, like, if Milwaukee wants to keep him, they would have re-signed him, right? They would have signed him to a contract extension, probably not forced him to opt out.
They might be waiting
tricky,
still.
right?
I don't know.
So maybe he's looking elsewhere. I don't know if it's Sacramento or somewhere else, but it's pretty interesting to think about what he could bring to Sacramento. Not the best season last year, but we know he was coming back from the injury. He's still in his early 30s. And was an incredible player when they won the title just a few years ago. So he is potential, but I think the Kings are better off spending that money and maybe, like I said, getting a solid 4, getting a guy that can help Sabonis on the boards, that can protect the rim a little bit. I don't know if Keita is going to be that guy. I saw someone bring him up in the chat. I mean, I don't want to say the ship has sailed on Keita, but my expectations for him have definitely taken a little bit of a dive.
I mean, I don't know if my expectations for him have taken that much of a dive. I just think that he's one of those guys that is not. If he was somebody that would instantly help an NBA team, he would have been drafted higher. He would have played more. He had good moments in the G League, but that's the G League. That's not the NBA. So I don't think you are. You're going to give up on him by any chance, but I certainly wouldn't expect him to be a guy that's going to step in next season and play regularly 20, ish minutes a game for them.
What are your thoughts on Christian Wood? He is a free agent. He averaged about 16.5 points and 7 rebounds last year, 1.1 blocks. A little bit of a down year as opposed to the year before where he averaged basically 18 and 10. What are your thoughts on Christian Wood? Do you think he stays in Dallas? You think he goes somewhere else? Is he a good potential option for the Kings at the 4? or maybe even the 5. He can shoot the ball.
Yeah.
He can protect the rim. He can rebound. I know there's been some, rumblings about his locker room presence and all that. We've also heard in the past, right, that there can be one knucklehead in the locker room, right? I don't think the Kings have a knucklehead in their locker room currently. Not saying that Christian Wood is that guy or would be that guy. Yeah. But what are your thoughts regarding Christian Wood?
I think it's another really good option available for the Kings. Just like the draft, I felt like had, whether it was at 24 or 34 or 38, there were a multitude of good options available for the Kings depending on what happened in front of them. I think free agency is the same way. It just is a question of who do you really believe in? Who do you think is going to work the best with this current group of guys that you have, and how much money are you willing to spend, right? Because a lot of these guys are going to command pretty high price tags. So from a basketball standpoint, Christian Wood would fit this team pretty well. A guy that's an efficient shooter, can space the floor, good size, rebounding, shot blocking potential. Mm-hmm. All of those things are checked boxes for Sacramento. So yeah, I think that is a viable option for sure.
Yeah, man, I'm just looking here at the Kings roster. You got De'Aaron Fox is under contract for 3 more years. Sabonis is entering the last year of his contract at $19 million. Harrison Barnes is expiring. You have Kevin Huerter on for 3 more years. Rashawn Holmes was traded. Malik Monk, 1 more year. Keegan Murray, 3 more years. Davion, 2 more years. And then a bunch of expiring guys. Terrence Davis is gone. Alex Len, a big is gone. Trey Lyles is gone. Chimezi Metu is gone. The Kings
for now.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
I mean, just currently on the roster right now, other than the second-round draft picks that came in today, the Kings have 1 big man on the roster. That's it. Yeah. That's 1 big man. That's it, dude. Domas Sabonis. They don't have a backup center. They don't have a starting power forward. They don't have a backup power forward. They don't even have a backup small forward right now currently. I mean, I see the Kings making a move. Like Tay says, go get Kevin Love. I would love Kevin Love on the Kings. I love Kevin, right? But anyways, I think the Kings probably make a move for a big man here as opposed to bringing in a shooting guard, unless it is a deal like for an OG and a Siakam or something like that, where you ship out Kevin Huerter, replace him with a guy that's a much better defender that can also shoot the 3 ball. But, I mean, just looking at the roster, there's obvious needs for bigs.
Oh, definitely. The work is not done. But, again, that's why you make this move to create the money to spend going into free agency when there's, like we said, so many of these guys available. You hope you get your first option, whether it's a trade or signing somebody in free agency. But there are a lot of options available, and they've got a lot of work to do. But I think that these moves that they made are set up to go full on into free agency as maybe the biggest spender or biggest player here of any team in the league.
Yeah. And a lot of teams, like you mentioned, already kind of, spent the bag that they had. They already traded. They made their trades. They made their little signings. So you mentioned it. The Kings have the most cap space, and they're the best team out of those teams with cap space. And they have some obvious needs. So why not go to Sacramento?
Why not?
Why not go to Sacramento? Ivan says, wouldn't mind Love, but don't know if he fits Monty's strategy. He wants someone in a smaller age range as Sabonis and Fox. I can definitely see that, but I also think he favors rebounding, and he loves guys that can start the fast break. And if Kevin Love can do anything, it is start the fast break. The dude's passing ability is amazing. That's what he got drafted for, right, was that long passing ability, the chest passes.
Well, I think he got drafted for a lot more than that.
Not one of the only things, but you know what I mean. That was a highlight, right? So I think that Kevin Love could definitely start the fast break. But I don't think that you clear a bunch of cap space to go out and sign Kevin Love and call it a day, right? So
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. There's a lot more bigger fish in the sea right now than Kevin Love.
Yeah. You wanna tell everybody? Kind of the other night we were enjoying a couple beverages, and we were watching some old highlights on YouTube. Calvin, whose highlights were we watching?
We were watching prime Dwight Howard highlights.
Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
And how'd he look?
Well, he looked fucking great. He was prime Dwight Howard. He was one of the best players in the NBA.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on him playing in the NBA next year, Calvin?
My hope is that it's not for the Kings because that means they've lost out on a lot of other better options.
Okay.
But, it's certainly not unrealistic to think that he'd be on an NBA roster somewhere.
I'd take him for a backup center position. Oh, also, I forgot to mention Brook Lopez, free agent.
Yeah.
That'd be huge.
Much rather have him.
That would be awesome. Maybe you get Brook Lopez and Dwight Howard.
That would be insane.
I wouldn't be mad if Dwight Howard was, backup center for the Kings. And yes, Bouncer Monty was Executive of the Year.
Sure was.
And he's sitting back and enjoying his trophy right now and letting everybody else make all these dumb moves so that he can swoop in and complete the puzzle for the Kings.
I sure hope so. It's going to be a real interesting week. Certainly a lot of pressure. I mean, there's always pressure on a GM, but I think pressure is now mounting, ahead of this.
Mounting on Monty.
Mounting on Monty.
That's hard to
Mounting
say.
Monty.
Mounting Monty. Oh, man. Calvin, I mean, we got about 2 weeks till the draft. You want to go live next week? Should we schedule another episode? When do you get back from Kauai?
I get back on Monday
Okay.
evening.
So maybe we'll do another show next week, Thursday, Friday, maybe around the weekend. Depends on what big news happens, of course. If there's a big trade or something that goes down for the Kings, we'll be covering it live. But I think we should do another show next week, kind of go over everything and prep everybody for free agency.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that's about it for us today. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Don't forget to smash up that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you were not able to watch live today, let us know down in the comments what you thought of the episode, what you thought of the Kings draft today. And, of course, everybody that's watching, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you all, especially Alfie Man and all my other Royal family members out there. Brian, thank you guys so much for watching. Calvin, you got any last words for the Royal family out there?
Well, just to answer Jim's question, I think if you end up taking Dwight Howard, that means you missed out on a lot of other better players. So if he's all that's available, sure, that would help, because they've had a need at backup center.
Yep.
But there are a lot of people that I want ahead of him.
Yeah. Also, got to give a shout out to Joseph for listening live on Twitter Spaces. And also all my regulars out there that normally watch the show. Calvin and I are potentially going to be redoing some stuff here in the studio during the off season. So if you have any ideas, if you have any things that you want to see behind us here or a cool idea for the studio, let us know in the comments at the bottom of this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Have an awesome Thursday night. And as always, go Kings.